Hi everybody, it's Lace, and haven't done any content in a long time, and that's because most of the patches have been pretty self-explanatory. However, with the upcoming Summer Medley Faire, I wanted to take some time to give you some hints and ideas to do as prep work before it actually takes off, and then also some ways to maximize your time spent during the event itself. There are 5 things that you should probably do ahead of the event and ahead of this next patch. And the first one is I would go ahead and do my fishing with shields, even though you haven't done it perhaps. You may think, oh, it's long and whatever, but it's going to net you probably the best fishing gear you can get in game currently, because the Vengeful fishing gear, it does not have as good of perks as what you can get from doing this quest line. Secondly, probably get your major trophies. You can either fish up for the components there and then find a furniture guy / carpenter to make it for you. You also are going to want to do some pre-fishing for the mount to catch, and I'll get specifically into that because it's the part that I'm the most excited about, and that's the deco for your home. So pre-fishing those is going to save you a ton of time that you're not burning while the event's running. Also, I would stock up on regular bait now, and I would prefer to use the fireflies from Bull Rush, where you can go around and get several hundred pretty quick and fast. The glowworm from Flint, which can only be obtained at night. You can get the night crawler during the day, and it is a good second choice as well. So I'd maybe go both ways, just grab a lot of Flint. And then the next thing is to stock up on basic materials. This is going to be your fiber, rawhide, iron ore, perhaps a few ingots, some timber, greenwood, etc. I probably would just keep it all in its raw form, because you're going to be doing town boards to build up your stage in each one of the settlement areas, and you'll be able to go through and get some event reputation from that, and I'll go into detail in that in a minute. So step 1, of course, is to do the fishing with shields, which you can go to nwdb.info, and you can see the full quest line. One thing to point out is while you're doing this quest line, there are some parts where you go to Weaver's Fin and do some shoes, and then another one where you're fishing up a sword, a hammer, or / anchor and stuff like that. These are some of the hardest pieces to get that you'll want to use in your mount of fish, and they're probably some of the most interesting. I will touch on how to get those if you've already completed your fishing with shields, but if you have not, when you're doing that, get some extra boots, get some extra anchors, swords, fish sword, fish hammer, and all that. The other thing to point out in the fishing with shields is also to complete the quest line, you will need to end up with a total score of 100 in fishing. You won't need the 200, but you will need to get up to 100. So you could technically get to 100 and then start the quest line if that's how you prefer to do it. So again, when I'm talking about the fishing with shields, the final reward is a level 60, as is the blue tiered gear. So if you are under level 60, you probably don't want to go that far in that quest line, because you're not really going to be able to use the gear. So try to get to 60 first is really some advice. The next thing is to obviously get your major fishing trophies. And the way you're going to do this is you're going to need some specific legendary fish. Legendary fish appear in every zone, but you'll need certain ones. As always with my videos, I've always referred back to the spreadsheet that I've been maintaining since launch. I will admit right now that the perks are not updated and have not been being updated, and we have major perk changes coming this next patch, and it will probably take me a month or two before I get that updated, so go to nwdb.info instead of me. However, my fishing spreadsheet is far more complete and detailed and easier to use than any website I've found, and so I'm going to point you to that, and I'll put a link to my spreadsheet, which will have many things on it, but you're going to want to focus on the fishing by zones. And this is to not only get your major trophies to see how you can get those fish, but then also to be able to find all the different fish that you're going to be able to use for mount to catch. Inside each of the Summer Medley Faire zones or areas that you can go to, you will find a mount and catch station. And again, this is the one that I'm particularly interested in. And this is where we can take our fish that we've caught in the wild and then mount them. Now, depending on the fish type, they've been broken down into, 3 different kind of classifications. Each one of these requires a different vendor purchased item in order to mount them, in addition to the crafting components. Now, you will get the crafting components from fishing in the specially marked areas that will appear during the event. There's quite a lot of them, and I'll go into some more specifics on that a little later. I just kind of wanted to show all the different things that you can mount because that relates to our previous spreadsheet, and the idea that you can pre-fish these fish so you'll have them all stored up and ready to mount, and all you'll need to do is actually fish during the event to get all the components to make them. The last two things on our checklist of things to do ahead of the event was to stock up on bait. I kind of pretty much already covered that. You're going to want to hit a lot of flint, and you're going to want to hit a lot of bulrush, and then basic mats for running the town boards. Next up, let's go into how you can get the event cash / tokens / thingies to do all the fun stuff that this event brings. First of all, you are going to go to Maudlin Hotspots or Maudlin Swarm, and you can go to newworld-map.com to see where these swarms have a possible location of showing up. What you'll do in that area is you will play a musical instrument, and you will basically do a Guitar Hero thing to that to earn special bait. And then at the end of perhaps about 3 performances, then you'll run around and gather all the gold dust, which is another form of currency that you can use in the event. The other thing is to fish in the Medley hotspot. Again, looking at the newworldmap.com, you can see those areas, and I've got those highlighted in cyan. Those are the sturgeon hotspots. Catching these fish in those particular little hotspots that are going to appear all over the map, and there's quite a few, you will be able to then salvage those fish for components that you can turn into tokens for the event. If you happen to get a location where you get all 3 performances, you will get a chance to scoop up that Maudlin dust, but it takes 50 of those just to make 1 regular token, and there seems to be a delay after you complete a performance before you can scoop it up, so there could be players trying to camp those locations and stuff. I wouldn't sweat it too much, because quite honestly, it's the hardest really to accumulate, and it takes 50 of them to get 1 token, so don't even cry about it. In addition, when you're fishing and salvaging the very special Eternum sturgeon, you can also get a spine, and there is a pyre inside each of the Medley Faire stage locations located around the map. I think there's 4 in total, and you can throw that fish spine into the pyre and get a special reward of more tokens. When you're out and about in the world, you can use your map to locate the Eternum sturgeon hotspots, but I think really if you're just running around on the waterways, you're just going to see them probably far faster than trying to chase them down with your map. Once you do encounter one, you can either use your normal bait or the special bait that you got from playing a performance inside one of the Maudlin swarms. There's a little bit more bonus on the Maudlin Swarm one, but you can use that regular bait just as well. So it depends on which one you've got more on you. Regardless, you're going to catch some sturgeons, and when you catch the sturgeons, you can salvage them like we talked about. Now, to catch some of the components that you're going to need for the mounting fish, like the wood and all that stuff, you can use your special bait that you got from the Maudlin Swarms anywhere in the world to fish. You don't need a hotspot. You don't actually want to use that in a hotspot when you're trying to capture these things. So just go to, like I'm in Windsward right now, I'm just in the normal area, and I'm just going to use my Maudlin bait, and I am going to pull back the resources I need for the mount of fish. So just to reiterate, use your special bait on the hot spots if you want to catch trout, and you got a lot of it. Use your special bait in non-hot spots to catch the components. You use your regular bait in hot spots to catch the Eternum sturgeon, and that's how you can mix and match your bait. Just like with the winter event, you're gated behind a faction wall before you can buy certain things from the merchant. So technically using your good bait in the good hot spots is going to advance you faster. But quite honestly, if you're just doing your dailies and working the town boards, you're going to hit it far faster than just straight fishing. It just depends on your goals. So with regular bait, you can start working on event reputation and capturing fish and all that stuff before you've even done the quest line. But if you start doing the quest line for the event, you will get awarded your first set of musical instruments. They will walk you through doing performances and gathering the maudlin bugs, which then, of course, you can use for your bait as the quote-unquote special bait. And I've kind of touched briefly on it's about 3 performances for one particular swarm. And then, of course, getting that dust, which I don't know how good or efficient that feels, at least in this current iteration of the game. Of course, the better you hit the keys on time and stuff, you get awarded a little bit more event reputation and stuff. I kind of suck at it because I haven't spent a lot of time on the music portion, but music is here to stay, and you can then, do performances and stuff with a group. You can do things in town and perform, and it will give certain buffs. People can tip you and things like that. Kind of reminds me of the Star Wars SWG, Star Wars Galaxies, and the performers, but I think the performers are way cooler. But this is still, a first step. You'll get awarded from the quest line your first couple pieces of sheet music. I think you can purchase other sheet music through the event vendor, and then there's going to be sheet music hidden across the world. Now, each instrument could have 1 to 2 pieces of sheet music per song that they currently have. So there's quite a bit of sheet music you'll want to collect. Also, when you're trying to do the sheet music at a particular swarm location, I think you're going to find you're going to have some favorites that are a little easier to hit a perfect on and stuff. For the starter one that from the first quest, I find that the second sheet of the 2 pieces of music you get from the initial starter quest is a little easier to play to start, getting a feel for it and everything. So I would suggest that. Another thing to note is that you can group up with your friends and all play different instruments, and the sound is really pretty impressive. Again, the sound in this game is just amazing all around. My only probably gripe is that it's only the music they're allowing us to play. I know that from me looking at the data mine, I saw .abc notation for people that have played Lord of the Rings, Shroud of the Avatar, a billion others. Arcade, I think, was one. You could do your own ABC notation and play any song you want. I spent a ton of time myself doing a lot of compositions in ABC notation, so I have a crap ton of sheet music, but unfortunately they're only letting us play what they've chosen. Regardless, though, like I said, it's a first step. And then, once you finish that third performance, if you happen to get all 3 by yourself in a swarm location, you're going to want to run around and grab this gold dust as much as you can. Use your tumble, wear a light set of armor to help you accomplish that. So some of the hard to find items, especially if you've been fishing a while, are going to be your soggy boots, the anchor, the oar, the hammer, things like that are going to come out of basically Weaver's Fin. The only way that you can get this, if you've got your fishing way up there, take all your trophies down, take off all your armor or your fishing armor, and don't use any bait. Find yourself a spot that is deep water. In Weaver's Fin, there's some ocean places that you can find like that. Again, no bait, no nothing. And get a super cheap pole. Again, this is part of your pre-fishing thing, is to go out and get these items, because otherwise you're going to spend hours out here and you don't want to burn that time during the event. You want to be, focusing on getting event stuff, and just go out here and you're going to spend some time just, absolute no bonus at all. And be patient. It will come. You can get them all. It's just a lot easier if you did it during your Fishing with Shields quest and your level was lower. But if you are higher, this is the way that you can do it still. The same kind of principle applies when you're trying to get, let's say, some of your blue quality fish. Try taking off all your fishing gear and use crappy bait or no bait in your T2 spots or T3 spots, especially if you're in the T3 spot. If you do that, you should be able to catch the bluer fish, or the blue quality fish much better. This is going to be like, your stingrays, your swordfish, and, the ones that are going to look really good mounted. But again, you cannot use all your best stuff, otherwise you will not catch them. You want to put all your trophies up, and put on all your good gear when you're hitting a T3 and you're trying to catch your legendary fish, because if you do all that, you're pretty much going to always get either a chest or your legendary fish. And you can cycle around the map, to hit those spots. There's two, like I said, in going back to the spreadsheet that we looked at, where you can, build your trophies from that. And then there's the other legendary fish, because you're going to want to mount those, because, they're probably the most special to get mounted for the event, on top of what I think are the coolest ones, which is going to be your anchor and your soggy boot and stuff, And then you've got your middle of the road fish, which you might be able to pick up on the trading post. And if you're a new player or whatever, go around fishing up some of those salmon and pikes and hakes and, flounders and snails and clams, because you're probably going to be able to sell those, because people are not going to want to waste time fishing for regular fish to mount if they can get them off the trading post. So you might be able to make a little bank doing that. Lastly, let's take a peek at what you're going to be able to get inside the store. It's set up much the same way as the Winter Convergence was, and you'll be able to buy the good stat food, and then there's a lot of house deco stuff. There are quite a few emotes, there's some clothing, and then of course there's the ability to craft some Gear Score 600 items. So there's tons of good stuff. So you probably are going to be super busy if you're like me and try to be as much of a completionist as possible. I doubt highly I will be able to get everything, but we'll see. It just depends on how much free time I have and how many people I want to ignore during the event, so that I can get all this stuff. I think that's going to end my commentary, and I'm going to leave you in dead silence as it scrolls through the rest of the store. There's yet another rabbit. I am not quite sure what the fascination with rabbits are and everything in this game. I still haven't heard an answer, but everything has a rabbit. We have about 15 bazillion kinds of skins on rabbits. Let's get some variety, folks, huh? What's up with the rabbits? Let's get some dog skins. We've got the one from the Amrine quest. There was one from a pre-order. Let's get some more dogs. Let's get some cats. Where's the love, man? Anyway, like I said, gonna leave you in silence now for the rest of it. Take care, everybody. Happy hunting and be safe.